The blocks are big, and the drivers are back. BRP TV is live once again. Hello, everybody. This is Joe Donahue reporting in from the virtual Port Royal Speedway, the Speed Palace in Port Royal, Pennsylvania. This racetrack is about an hour, 15 minutes northwest of where I sit right now. Therefore, I'm very excited to bring you the clash at the Speed Palace. Race number 2 of the Southern Tier Elite Series Championship, their first ever championship, which is live here on BRP TV. We're excited to bring it to you after last time, where we had one hell of a show from Volusia. If we get a show half as good as what we saw last time, you are in for a fantastic evening of racing. I'm joined by my partner in the booth, Jonathan Howe. Jonathan, just make it a quick check-in. I don't have anything in my teeth or hair making me look a little goofy, do I?
I don't think so, buddy. You know what? I think all you got is race cars ringing in your ears, and that's all we really need, you know? I feel like this is going to be one heck of a show. We got, 32 cars that are going to be attempting for 24 spots at Port Royal. This is stiff competition, and I cannot... And does somebody who scored some big points last week find themselves in a problem spot where they're either having to work their way through a B main or maybe, even worse, losing out?
That's definitely a possibility, Jonathan. There's a lot of really good names in this field, and I think there were some in the broadcast last time that we maybe didn't anticipate being so far down in the order, and they could shake things up tonight. We've got a ton of drivers, a ton of talent, and a whole new ball game at Port Royal Speedway to take on here. The practice session comes to a close, and it's Gary Edwards III at the top of it again here. Gary Edwards didn't quite put together the points effort last time that we maybe expected him to, Jonathan. Maybe we'll hit the points after qualifying, because this turnaround does happen pretty quick when we get the cars out for their 2 laps to take on the virtual Port Royal Speedway and get out and try to put the best time up they can. Matt DeRitter, the first car on the screen here, Jonathan.
Yeah, I do look for him as well this week, which is nice to see. I mean, and obviously the murder graphics always look sharp on the 03 ride. And, you know, you said it best, Joe. I think this is going to go really fast. I think we're going to see a lot of drivers jumping up and down the board, and with 32 names to keep track of, I think it's important to get out there early like Matt's doing and get yourself to the top of the charts, and hopefully you can stay there.
Yep, we'll see what the first lap times to go up on the board look like as Matt DeRitter goes in with a 19.859. I see Cody Harris and Hunter Lapp getting ahead of him as well. There's Hunter Lapp in car number 60 going around the back side of the racetrack here. Only a couple to start off. Jeff Sharp on the track as well in the 28. We'll follow Hunter lap around 3 and 4 as he diamonds off to the bottom of the racetrack. Jonathan, I wonder if we're going to see more of that with this sort of high-banked, I'm going to say it is a long racetrack for me. In sprint car country, this is considered a long racetrack, but is that something we can be expecting from more of the drivers tonight, this sort of diamond shape that we saw Hunter lap hit?
I think that's the play right now in the short term, but I think in the long term, you're going to want to be up on the high side of the racetrack. You're going to want to keep that engine revved up, keep the momentum going as best you can around this place, and hopefully that keeps you going fast. But right now, yeah, you want to make sure this track can be run as short as possible, and that's where diamonding the corner can get you a little bit of a run down the hill, get you a little bit of momentum. But I think come race time, you're going to want to see that car right up against the wall, kind of like what we're seeing right now at a 3 and 4.
Yep, that's Matthew Schultz in the Reese's sponsor number 24, not too far off from the world headquarters of that Peanut Butter Cup company here in Port Royal Speedway. They're right down the road in Hershey, which is conveniently also where I sit. That's fun. Robert Henschel has gone to the top of the board with a 19 flat in his first appearance with this series, the Southern Tier Elite Series, bringing in a new driver with the number 3 on the side of the car, and he shows everybody up right off the bat. You got Brian Lawson here on the track in the 57 car we were watching along as well, just slowly ticking the way through this, and I got to appreciate the sort of delay we're seeing. Some guys going out right away, some waiting a little longer. It gives Jonathan and I an opportunity to show them on screen like this. Jonathan, here we go.
Yeah, it's nice to actually kind of zone in and see what lines are running. I'm sure there's a few folks, I think about Dean Reynolds, I think about Perego. They're probably watching to see which lane, which style around this racetrack is proving to be the fastest. I think as the session's gone on, we see more and more guys sticking to that top side, Joe. I think that's maybe not the fastest in qualifying, but I feel like come race time, that'll be the spot to be. Here's Isaac Salas now. I feel like this is going to be one of the drivers to watch. He really impressed me in the first week, Joe.
Absolutely agreed with that. This was the first time, last time out was the first time that I got to see Isaac Salas race anything, let alone in the Southern Tier Elite Series or in iRacing in general. I was also very impressed by him. I've been very impressed by Dylan Smith, especially at the ending of the Murder Graphics iRacing series last year, or into the beginning of 2025, I should say, but he is up into third place. Isaac Salas now breaks the 19-second barrier, though he gets the fastest lap time up on the board. 18.979 goes fastest for him. Only 2 more cars left to put in, only 1 more car to put in qualifying times, and Anthony Perego is one of them, but he puts his first lap down on the boards, Jonathan, 19th quick.
Yeah, and I was watching Isaac. He picked up on the second lap. The second lap was the quick time. So there is pace to be found on that second lap. A lot of times I feel like it's the first lap, which is where you set your fastest time. But there is room to go a little bit quicker if you can. We'll see how this plays out. And I think, have we gone through everybody? Is there anybody left to go here with just 30 seconds on the board? I think everyone's taking a time.
Yep, that is all of them. Matt DeRitter and Brian Lawson both must have gotten a little bit squirrely on both of their qualifying laps. So in iRacing, if you hit the wall or you get a X, as they call it in the game, you do something a little wrong, like hitting the wall or spinning or something, it invalidates your lap time. And it looks like Matt DeRitter and Brian Lawson both missed both of them. So neither of them put up a time. But Isaac Salas is going to take the top spot with Robert Henschel and Dylan Smith rounding out the podium of qualifying positions. We should be having 4 heat races, so they will all go into a pole position for their heat races here. And we skip over, and the first of those 4 is going to start off right away with 8 drivers. And looks like we are getting ready to go. I'm trying to get the ticker to come off the screen here, and it is, there we go. Apologies, a little small issue there getting things off, but nonetheless, we'll get the first rows of cars ready to go, and then we will start racing with 8 laps. So Isaac Salas going to be on the pole in the number 5 car. To his outside out of New York, the Super Dirt Car Series number 79 is Dirt Car Dean Reynolds. Sporting a new look on the inside in the Hutchings Insurance number 97, Iceless on it, as well as Cody Higbee. And to his outside will be the Reese's number 24 of Matthew Schultz. Anthony Perego scored as the 44. He's running the Kaiser Aluminum Wheels number 4 and he will be to the inside as the defending winner from last time of Brendan Finley, who also had a fantastic run out in Volusia. Then we've got Mikey Horton in the 12 and Nicholas Mall in the 2 to round out the field. And Jonathan, we touched on the points championship already, but we've got one more pace lap to go. So why don't we take a quick check-in, give us the rundown on the points situation coming into the second race this year.
Well, after week 1, we're looking at Anthony Perego at the top of the board. Gary Edwards, the third, will ride in second coming into tonight. Brendan Finley sits third in points. So Gary Edwards only 2 points back of Perego. So as much as, you want to finish up high in your main feature event, you can score a lot of points getting heat points. That's what Gary Edwards did. He scored 3 in his heat, and that allowed him to keep it close with Perego winning that opening race. Cody Higbee, Isaac Salas tied for 4th in points. They're 8 points back of Perego. So again, everybody pretty buttoned up at the front of the championship right now. Anthony Roselli, Dylan Smith, Dean Reynolds, Dominic Roselli, and Nick Moll round out your top 10 in points coming into tonight. We'll keep an eye. Again, you want to score some points when it comes to heats, and the heats are off now, Joe.
They are underway. Isaac Salas jumps to the inside. Perego tries to look down the inside of Cody Higbee through 1 and 2. Gives him a little love tap, moves him up the racetrack. Dirt car Dean Reynolds up to the high side. He's one to be pretty good at racetracks like this. For some reason, Williams Grove and Port Royal have fit his bill in seasons past. He gives Isaac a nice challenge into turns 1 and 2 again, but I think we're probably not going to see too much out of this heat race as the track's still a little bit young, Jonathan. I can see a little bit of clay, but it's still got plenty of grip up on the top side, and especially on the bottom side, actually.
You know what? It's racier than I thought it would be this early in the night, as we see a problem for someone there dropping towards the back. I can't quite make out the number on my vantage point, but I believe that we're kind of surprised. I think it's Mole, and I think that was the 2 car that pulled in there, Joe. I'm not sure if you can see it on your timing and scoring from my end. It looks like the 2 car was the one that pulled in. Either way, I'm very impressed with Isaac Salas. This is a driver that I've not seen a ton in the iRacing community, not had the chance to watch, and so far it's just been so fast throughout the first couple of weeks. And I think with some track position, which he's got right now out front, that could be a dangerous combination for that 5 car.
Absolutely, and this is what we saw out last time. Dirt car Dean there in tow behind, and then Cody Higbee, actually it looks like Higbee got dropped back a couple spots. He's actually outside right now of the transfer positions, and you got Matthew Schultz in third, but Isaac Salas did this in Volusia, and if he can go again, he'll get himself 3 more bonus points, and we'll see if that comes together with maybe a better run in the feature race itself, which he did okay in, but maybe wants to do a little bit better. I think Gary Edwards really showed the all-around skill of getting through the heat races, being fast in qualifying, and then doing well in the race. Maybe a little bit higher level than Salas did, even though Salas had a great run last time. But great way to start things off so far, Jonathan.
Yeah, you know what? The thing I think about, too, with this format and the fact that we're going to have 4 heats and we're going to have a pretty big B main is that if you want to lock yourself in if you can, because if something goes wrong in that early portion of that B main, it is going to be very, very hard to overcome. So if I'm any of these drivers hovering around 5th place, 6th place, a guy like Cody Higbee, I am trying to get to the front as best I can as the checkered flag will wave, and Isaac Salas picks up the win. Reynolds, Schultz, and it looks like Finley will round out the top 4 and lock themselves in. Meanwhile, last week's feature winner gonna have to come from the B main.
Yeah, so I think we're going to have 4 or 5 coming through here, and we're going to put the next group of 8 out on track, and we'll see who gets to match. We'll see if anybody can put up a run that is as dominant as Isaac Salas just had. We'll have to wait and see, but let's see the Advanced Concrete number 3, starting from the front row. That's Robert Henschel. That's the new name to the series, the new late addition to the entry list. And he will roll from the pole for heat race number 2. On his outside is going to be the 883 of Bud Molyneux. We did not see Bud race at Volusia last time, so even though he has been a part of this already, this is his debut with the series as well. On the inside of row number 2, coming up second last time, not Guy Edwards. That was a Trans Am and Pirelli driver in the past. Gary Edwards III will be driving the black and white with the green numbers from third place on the grid. Kenny Coe, a crowd favorite and a championship favorite from the Murder Graphics iRacing Series season last year out. He will bring the number 22 car in black from fourth place in his debut this season. Jeff Sharp, longtime driver of the various series that we've hosted here on BRP TV. He will go from fifth place on the grid, starting in the final transfer spot or so. And then to his outside is the number 39 car of Mike Brewer, representing some good runs in the past with the BRP iRacing Series. Hasn't quite shown it in Volusia, but Port Royal is a new opportunity for him. On the inside of the last row of this group, you've got the 14S of Austin Smith. Fantastic car on the side. I like the Smith. I like that. And to his outside is going to be the number 71 of Edward Owens. So we got the 8 more drivers ready for 8 more laps, and we'll see who can qualify themselves in to the feature from here. Robert Henschel going to have control of the field as he comes through the final corners under the Juniata Concrete and Holderman Trucking signs. And Port Royal Speedway, also known as the Speed Palace, will light up once again under Robert's control. And we're green flag racing. Everybody jumped up the track there. Like when everybody hit the throttle, Jonathan, they torqued up and hit the topside wall there.
Yeah, that was a bit of a sketchy start there. And I think I do have to correct myself there, Joe. I think I said they were taking 4 cars. I believe it's 5 cars that are locking themselves in from each heat tonight, if I'm not mistaken with their numbers. But it's either way, if you're not running in the top 3, I think you got to be holding the steering wheel a little bit more aggressively at home. You got to have a little bit more strain and sweat when it comes to this game right now. I feel like you got to have a way to get up towards the front and just stay out of the hornet's nest, which is exactly what we're looking at right now.
Yep, this is Mike Brewer with Jeff Sharp on the outside, and then Kenny Coe down low. Kenny Coe is in 6th of this group, so Brewer holds 4th. Jeff Sharp jumped up initially, but fell back behind the 39 car again, and now we've got a nice little battle for these transfer spots. And yeah, we're not 100% sure because last time out we only had 3 heat races, so this time we've got 4. We are going to have to wait and see how that changes the passage of who transfers out of these heat races, but for the time being, like Jonathan alluded to, that top 3 is a really nice spot to be in. To guarantee you don't have to worry about it. And Robert Henschel's doing a hell of a job up front to hold on to things with Bud Molyneux giving a little slide to Gary Edwards there, Jonathan, trying to be a little bit protective of that second place right now.
Yeah, and Edwards, one of those guys that, again, came out and really impressed in that first week in that 21 car. And right now, again, he maximized his heat race last week, getting 3 points in it, and that's obviously what kept him close with Anthony Borrego, who won last week's feature. Now, again, 4 points would separate first and second come the feature, if that's where you guys finish, but there are bonus points awarded for where you finish in the heat race, so you might as well try and maximize the night, and that's exactly what Henschel's doing right now.
Absolutely trying to, at least. Robert Henschel has about a straight 3/4 of a straightaway advantage over Gary Edwards in second place there. Go to the long shot to give you a view of the entire field, trying to work their whole way up to the top side of the racetrack and grab a little bit of the tacky stuff you can still see up there. White flag has been shown to Robert Henschel. He comes around and down the back straightaway again. Gary Edwards, Bud Molyneux, they don't have much of a challenge. And Jeff Sharp has fallen off the tail of this little battle. We got a nice battle coming to the line as Robert Henschel is going to take the victory, and it's going to be Mike Brewer holding out 4th place over Kenny Coe. It was a good little run to the finish between them, but your heat race number 2 winner, sponsored by HigFab Chassis, is going to be the number 3 of Robert Henschel. And that's the end of the second one. We're halfway through the heat racing action, and we will bring you the lineup for the third heat race here quickly. Dylan Smith in the 15S is going to be starting from the pole in the black machine. To his outside is going to be Hunter Lapp in car number 60. Then we've got Will Robb in the 90 car going from 3rd place on the grid. And Richard Ritchie III in the 406 on his outside. There's the 406. Starting on the inside of row number 3, Tyler Bowman in the 07. Nice old Vertex Graphics sponsored car. It's a nice little throwback. When I think of modified, that's the kind of livery I think of. Jesse Hedges to his outside in the 33. Then you've got the 1X of Anthony Vitale in the 1. last row there. And then Matt DeRitter, originally out of New Jersey, now residing in Ohio, driving the number 03 Inkvine Company Murder Graphics machine, the what was previously Murder Graphics house car, but nonetheless Dylan Smith from the front row. Jonathan, one pace lap to green. You've got Dylan Smith up front, somebody who we've talked about in the past a lot as being a guy who very much developed as an iRacing driver the last season out. And he said before the race to us in the voice chat, is it possible to be the most improved driver 2 years in a row? I don't know what your thoughts on that one would be, but he's starting from pole in a heat race in only the second race of the season.
It's almost like do we have to check for sandbagging here? I don't know. How much work is he putting in, but behind the scenes in the off season or whatever we're seeing from him? But it's been an impressive drive from that 15 ride, and I don't know about you, Joe. I'm trying to get a read for this racetrack right now and this surface. It felt like heat number 1 was far racier than heat number 2. You know, we really saw Henschel drive away, and it kind of feels like maybe our pole sitter's primed to do the exact same thing here.
It's possible. As we come to the green flag, my biggest thing that I'm noticing is that it is cloudy right now. Like, we have no sunlight on the racetrack as the green flag comes out, and I bet that has something to do with it. Uh-oh, there we go. We're wrecking already.
Oh.
Got 3 of them pirouetting in turns 1 and 2. Anthony Vital into the back of, that's Will Robb facing the wrong direction still. Green flag stays out, and Will Robb, unfortunately, is just going to take it back and park it. That is a tough start to the evening. He is going to be very far back marred into the consolation event that we have to set the final rows of the grid for the feature. But up at the front is Dylan Smith, and a nice challenge from Hunter Lapp on the inside there, Jonathan.
Yeah, good battle here for the lead. I did not expect to see this, but Lapp is keeping him honest and having a look to the outside, having a look to the inside, maybe using that diamond line that we spoke about earlier in the night, and might actually be the ticket here, as Smith, I think, is going to surrender the lead. Lapp might throw a big slider and might not have to. He'll easily clear to the top spot. Now what does Smith do? Smith's going to have to follow him down, and he'll dive to the inside through 1 and 2. Can he make the slider stick? No, he can't stay alongside, but he'll try to get the run back down the front, back straightaway here and try to give chase into 3 and 4. Good race at the front of the field, much better than I was expecting, but Lapp now starting to comfortably kind of grind away and chip away at his lead. Meanwhile, we're seeing DeRitter, who's moved up throughout the field after, I believe his time must have been deleted, right, with that wall contact. Much cleaner times through this part of the racetrack and through this portion of the race, and that's allowed DeRitter to get up there in a pretty comfortable spot in third, Joe.
Yeah, you want to talk about 0 to hero so far. I mean, you go from not putting a lap time up at all in qualifying because you're hitting the wall coming through the corners, and then starting dead last in your heat race, and before the second lap was even over, you were in a confident transfer position. Matt DeRitter definitely turned things around to start this evening off. 2 laps to go here, comfortably in third place out of the 8 that were on track. We're now down to 7 of them out there. But yeah, Matt DeRitter definitely turned this around. Looking behind him is the battle for position for those transfers. Tyler Bowman is sending it in as hard as physically possible to try to get around Rich Ritchie here, and Bowman's going to go underneath him on the last lap, Jonathan.
Yeah, almost kind of a bit of an intimidator situation. I feel like kind of using the chrome horn, but not too overly aggressive. I just think Bowman is a man on a mission. He's found something up on the high side of the racetrack. He's really leaning on it, but it doesn't appear to be slowing him down at all, as the checker flag will wave, and Lapp is going to take that win ahead of Smith and DeRitter. Good racing at the back, good racing at the front, Joe. And I love Port Royal just for how wide this racing surface is.
Absolutely. Absolutely agree. Whoa. I love going to this racetrack too, because I will speak on behalf of the facilities of this place. I mean, I've been to Knoxville, I've been to Eldora, I've been to all the Pennsylvania tracks, I've been to plenty, in Indiana and whatnot. And I think Eldora beats it in terms of how nice the amenities are and everything, but not by much. And I don't think there's anywhere else that you're going to beat besides maybe Eldora. From my experience, Port Royal is one of the greatest racetracks, dirt tracks in the country. Maybe a slight bias on that as well as a representative of the Pennsylvania posse, but The racing is making Jonathan like it, and if Jonathan likes it, I think everybody watching the stream here could agree it's pretty good stuff. We're into the final heat race of the evening, 8 laps for the final 8 drivers out on the racetrack. Michael Vitale in the 213 car, you can see him in yellow leading the field. He will be the pole sitter for this one. Dominic Roselli in the Van Sickle Electric number 80 to his outside. On the inside of row number 2, missed the Volusia Premier, but he's out now for his first start of the season. In car number 171 is Jason Henry, and beside him will be A Rose, Anthony Roselli. So we've got the two brothers on the outside of the first 2 rows. That never works out. They always end up getting into it with each other, so we'll see how that goes. The 05 of Bo Kerbo starts 5th, convenient for all the 5s in that name, and he will be on the inside of Cody Harris in car number 20 with the butterfly on the side. And then on the final row of the grid, the car scored as a number 4. He's pulling the Kevin Harvick. I'm getting a Busch Light Apple vibe off this car for Robbie Worth, and Brian Lawson in car number 57 to his outside. Jonathan, I called it out already, but we've got Dominic in front of Anthony in line on the outside. I wouldn't leave your seat if I were watching this race right now.
I think this could get a little spicy between the brothers. We've seen it in the past. Last season, there was a few incidents between these boys, and Anthony will not be shy to say that Dominic can get a little bit hot-headed in the game. And you know what? I feel like from the outside row, the best thing Dominic can do right now is just fire it off into one and try to take that lead and drive away from Anthony. And so far, Dominic has had better lap times. I was watching them as the green flag comes out in practice, Joe, and it seemed like Dominic is the quicker of the two right now around the Palace. And it looks like Dominic not going to be able to take the lead. And, Anthony's making some contact there. They're 3-4 wide down the back straightaway. It's getting a little bit contentious from about 3rd on back now as Roselli will drop down. Contact! The 20's around. Harris went around, and that is going to really affect his ability to make this feature after he was kind of in prime position to do it. And that's a shame because Harris didn't lock himself in last week in the heat and had to battle through the B main and ultimately lost that battle. Whoa. So we'll see you as they still kind of rough and tumble racing around the Palace here.
There's always that one chaotic heat race, and we saved it for the end tonight. I think even though we've seen a couple incidents go through, you've got the 2 Rosellis, which Dominic is doing a pretty solid job out front. He's got Michael Vitale still fighting for him here for the lead. You had all of that happen with Cody Harris. You've got Anthony Roselli and Jason Henry not being afraid to use the bumpers, and the track's starting to work in a little bit more, but it's still Vitale trying to chase Dominic Roselli. Let's go on board with the 213 car as he tries to run the middle inside line with D Rose on his outside, past the stripe again, and you can see the entry of this corner. I guess the wall kind of you want to suck into the wall. Like, at least when you're in a sprint car, you have to run up there. But with the modifieds, Jonathan, you don't necessarily need to go up that high, but it definitely looks pretty inviting.
Yeah, it's almost like a reverse diamond, really. You almost want to enter low like we see Vitale doing here and let the car wash up the racetrack and then try to get that run back down the hill. And that's what you can see where Roselli is running right now. He's able to get that run down the hill much better because he's able to enter a little bit higher. Whereas Vitale, once he hits the middle, he kind of has Roselli right there, so he can't get the full run up the hill and then back down it. He's going to have to try to make it work on the bottom side, and the momentum is just playing into Roselli's hands.
Yeah, absolutely it is. And Vitale, when we were riding on board with him, it personified how much character this racetrack has. And when I say character, I'm being very nice to say bumps. It's a bumpy racetrack, more so than I guess I was expecting with these modifieds running into the middle line of the racetrack. But that is something that they're going to have to work with all the way through the night. Dominic Roselli is the one who worked with it the best through this heat race, as he's going to come through 3 and 4 to the checkered flag. That number 80 car will win the final heat race of the evening over Michael Vitale. His brother Anthony Roselli is going to end up 3rd. Jason Henry 4th, and Bo Kerbo will manage the last of the top 5 positions. So we will skip over into the consolation here, and we'll put the rest of the field in. So once everybody gets reset, moved over, and the session brings in the consolation, we will grid up 12, so that means we brought 20, so that means we took the top 5 from each.
Top 5, yeah.
Means we're only going to take 4 of the 12 drivers who line up here, Jonathan.
Yeah, that is not a lot of room for error for some really heavy hitters, including the guy that's going to start on the pole of this one, Cody Higbee.
Cody Higbee, yeah, that is a heavy hitter for sure. Jeff Sharp to his outside in car number 28. You've got the Richard Ritchie driven number 406 on the inside of Brian Lawson in row number 2. Row number 3's got Mikey Horton and Austin Smith aside each other. Then you've got Anthony Vitale and Robbie Worth. Anthony has yet to grid, but the 1X is supposed to start on the inside in 7th place. Nicholas Mole is going to start 9th. Edward Owens in the 71 will start 10th. And then the last row, you've got Will Robb and Cody Harris, two guys who had very unfortunate runs through their heat races, and they will be looking to move up. But that is a tall challenge. 10 laps is enough time. Matt DeRitter proved that you've got enough time to do it, but it's still that's tough. I would not want to have to do that.
You know, and it's funny, too, because, looking back at this, like Anthony Vitale had himself a pretty good opening week. Scored well in his heat, got some extra bonus points there, and then had a tough feature, which dropped him a little further down the standings. But that is a guy that we've seen have pace, have speed, and he's going to have to overcome a lot here tonight if he wants to keep going. Brian Lawson was a solid runner in last week's event. So there's a lot of guys who, if you're trying to earn some championship points and make yourself have a shot towards the top 10, top 5 all season long, you got to get out of this one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Jonathan, if you could remind everybody here watching the stream, who were the 4 drivers? I don't remember off the top of my head. I think you still have this pulled up that didn't qualify when we were at Volusia.
So if I have it correct, we do have a couple extra drivers that did not join the sessions at all from last week. But I feel like we had, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Will Robb Jr. attempted the race last weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I believe we had Tyler Bowman attempt, and he did not make it. Cody Harris, I believe, attempted, if I'm not mistaken. And I believe the other one, I think, was Matt Smith, maybe, that did also.
I think you got it.
Yeah, I think that was my 4, if I've got this correct. But
yep.
I've got the point standings up in front of me, and the drivers that didn't attempt at all are mixed in with those guys that missed out on making it through the heat. So it's stiff competition in this Southern Tier Elite Series, and this B main is off to a contentious start already. As look at the battle, could be 3 wide for a second. Look at Lawson through the middle.
Ooh, it's almost 4 wide there. Is Rich Ritchie on the inside, Brian Lawson in the middle, Jeff Sharp on the outside and back to the stripe. Cody Higbee very well clear of this. Jeff Sharp and Brian Lawson side by side past the line there. They both hold positions to transfer right now, but I wouldn't get too far into it because you get into each other a little too much and you're both going backwards. Anthony Vitale, speaking of going backwards, I saw him come off of the bottom of turn 2, and he just got things wrong going into the corner, and unfortunately he's going to have to reset, and I think that sends the 1X to the trailer tonight. Austin Smith did not make the call for this heat race, and so we're down to 9 drivers, but still only 4 of them are going to transfer here, Jonathan. And that last transfer spot right now, definitely still up for grabs. Richard Ritchie has it. Mikey Horton wants it.
Yeah, Richard Ritchie, I was wrong. He was one of the ones that actually attempted to make the race last week and did end up going home. So trying to avoid doing it twice in 2 weeks to DNQ from the big feature. And right now, it's a little bit dicey. There is no breathing room from second on back in this heat.
Yeah, Jeff Sharp's kind of holding this crew together here. It looks like maybe the 57 is a little bit faster, but the track position advantage of that 28 car is holding everybody back up. Mikey Horton goes to the inside. Rich Ritchie got a little bit of a momentum break out of turn number 2, and that's going to put the 12 car side by side with Brian Lawson, and Horton shows that he's there, but Lawson's going to still hold out that position past the line again. Halfway through this consolation race, Cody Higbee has it pretty confidently up at the front. We've got about a 4-car battle for the rest of the transfers.
Look at the move from Horton. He wants back in this one. He made the show last week, does not want to go home this week, and he is moving forward. Sharp now kind of driving away from Lawson, trying to give himself a little bit of breathing room here. Ritchie trying to sail it back in there. He wants to make the show. It's a good little battle from 4th on back behind Lawson for this final transfer spot. I love that we got this thing zoomed in and exactly on this battle because that's where the action is. And Lawson, again, he's opened up a little bit of breathing room. Mikey Horton trying to make the show. Can he do it? Can he hold him off? I think he's got a pretty smooth line right now.
It looks like he's in pretty good shape. Rich Ritchie on the outside looking in, and I know he doesn't want to have that happen again to go home early before the feature, but yeah, that number 12 car really does look like he's got it dialed in, and it looks like we've single-filed out a little bit more, so the track's developing to a state where, unfortunately for Ritchie, it looks like we're all single-filed out. Jeff Sharp, it might be kind of single-file, but it's not a single-lane racetrack. Jeff Sharp's using the whole racetrack up here as the white flag comes out. Cody Higbee leads the way here through the first two turns for the final time, and he should be able to take that win. We'll give him the one to go presented by Precision Engine Service and the checkered flag this time, Jonathan.
And one thing I will say is that, yes, he's going to have to come from the back, but you just gave Cody Higbee an extra session to really study up on this racetrack, and that could mean some big improvements come feature time, as there is your four that are moving on. It is Higbee, it is Sharp, Lawson, and Horton round out the advancers.
That's great stuff there. We're going to have a warm-up session coming over. Give everybody a second to get a little bit back to familiar with the racetrack, as well as give us a breather and give everybody some time to reset as we go into the 40-lap feature for the Clash at the Speed Palace, presented here on BRP TV. Jonathan, if we could take a minute here, maybe we should give some highlight and shout out to the partners and sponsors of this series who are helping give us a platform to bring everybody together on our Sunday nights. And I think you've got the readouts for us over there somewhere.
I will try to pull those up for you and get our sponsors. But it's been one of those things that I just couldn't believe how well Roselli was able to put this together. I got to give a shout out first and foremost to Anthony Roselli. You know, he reached out to me directly and said, hey, I don't know what's going on with, the Murder iRacing series, but I'm thinking of putting together a league. I'm thinking of wanting to get a broadcast going. How do you feel about it? How do you feel about being involved? And, I mean, I was up for it, and I was just happy that you wanted to be a part of it as well, Joe, and that, of course, our pal Matt DeRitter was able to contribute some graphics for us as well. And you know what? This just is not a broadcast that goes without amazing partnerships. That's what really takes it to the next level and allows us to have the broadcasts that we do. And a big shout out to all of those involved as I get the list up here.
Here, I can save you here.
Struggling it.
I can save you here, Jonathan. I'm sorry. I will. We love Matt DeRitter, but I'm going to throw him under the bus. He said he was going to send that to us, and he didn't. But that's okay. We got Cacti. I know the list's up on the screen here for Cacti Fabrication, who we should have definitely shout out first. They are the presenting sponsor of the Southern Tier Elite Series this season. They are presenting the Cacti Cup to the champion of this series at the end of their 10-race calendar. BRP TV, that's us, here to broadcast these races to you live on YouTube through the BRP TV YouTube channel. You want to make sure you subscribe and hit the bell icon so you know when these races go live. Hig Fab Chassis came on board for this season. They are the Heat Race winner presenting sponsors, as well as a partner of the series. Precision Engine Service, they are a presenting sponsor of the J7 car, also a sponsor of the series, and the one-to-go sponsor for the feature race. We've got Vertex Graphics, who came on a little bit towards the end of the whole show of getting the list together, but Vertex, you can see them on a couple of the cars in this series, as well as Savage House Performance for being a presenting sponsor of the series. You've got the standard BRP TV sponsors of Murder Graphics and MDR Designs, both from Matt DeRitter, his two shows of sponsoring and making the graphics of race cars, and then MDR Designs is the parent company where he can put together all sorts of goodies for your graphic design needs of your small or large businesses. The Inkvine Company, new add to the schedule for BRP TV this season. Then Creative Turnings. I've heard recently Dan Correa, he's had his ups and downs in the health category, so we want to give him our best wishes from BRP TV, and you can check out Creative Turnings on Facebook for him and his custom lathed stuff there. It's Christmas season, it's holiday season. What better than a homemade, made with love gift for your loved ones? Then you got 47 Technology, also the 3D printing category of homemade gifts for your loved ones during the holiday season. And finally, last but not least, the Southern Ontario Dirt Show, presenting sponsor of BRP TV, bringing you all the action from Southern Ontario's racing scene. Presented by, there's this guy, I think his last name starts with an H, and his first name might be John or something. Jonathan Howe, that's the guy I'm thinking about. Yeah, he's in there. So you want to go check that out, because you love anything Jonathan Howe does. Probably is coming out pretty darn tootin' good.
Yeah, it was a crazy season for us where, the actual racing weekends were so busy for us. I don't know what it was like in your area, but we had an exceptionally dry summer. The last rainout we had at my home track of Merrittville Speedway was, I think, mid-May. So we did something like 15 or 16 weeks in a row of racing, which rarely happens for us in Southern Ontario. And that was welcomed, but also definitely gave us a lot to talk about and burnt us out quite a bit as well. So I'm looking forward to kind of changing up the show, Joe. Little teaser of what's to come, but it's going to turn into maybe a bit more of a video reaction podcast. And I want to be able to sit with some folks, maybe even live in the moment, and watch some racing back. Maybe watch some drone footage, maybe watch some G-Force TV productions of Oshweekend and other races around Southern Ontario, and react to it live in person as a live streamed show. So we're developing that right now and locking in what the new format of the Southern Ontario Dirt Show is going to be. But I'm excited about it, and in the meantime, I'm really happy to be working in the virtual world, and I will also be giving our guy Matt DeRitter heck for not giving me the proper sponsors, as I'm trying to wait for our Facebook chat to load to see what the sponsors are, because that's my backup.
Right on. Yeah, that's okay. We're out here with, we got HigFab Chassis, Precision Engine Service, Cacti Fabrication, BRP TV, MDR Designs, everybody who brings us together alongside all the people who watch on YouTube. We've seen a couple. I saw Anthony and Dom. I see Liz Roselli down there. I'm wondering if that's mom or if that's in the relation somehow to Anthony and Dominic. She's cheering them on. Jason Butterfield and some of the more. I know my dad's watching as well downstairs. So we appreciate all of you coming out to support your drivers and watch here on BRP TV, because you guys are the reason we're broadcasting. You guys are the reason this whole show gets to happen in the first place. So we are more than excited to bring you 40 laps around Port Royal. I hate to say it, but this is the racetrack I was looking forward to most in the season, so now we got 8 more to come after it, but that's okay. It's a little biased because this is my home track of the season. Gary Edwards III starting from the pole in the number 21 car with Dean Reynolds to his outside. That's 2 times tonight that Dean Reynolds goes from the outside of row number 1. You've got Dominic Roselli and Hunter Lapp in row number 2, then Robert Henschel and Isaac Salas in row 3. Dylan Smith alongside Michael Vitale for row 4. Starting 9th is going to be the Reese's number 24, Matthew Schultz and Bud Molyneux on his outside. Then you've got Matt DeRitter and Anthony Roselli in row number 6, Brendan Finley and Mike Brewer in row 7, Jesse Hedges and Jason Henry in row 8. Row 9's got Anthony Perego, last time's winner on the inside of Kenny Coe, multi-time winner from last season. Tyler Bowman on the inside of Bo Kerbo for row 10. Then 21st sees Cody Higby, the winner of the consolation race, inside Jeff Sharp in the 28. Last row on the field got the 57 of Brian Lawson and the number 12 of Mikey Horton. If you thought I could be a auctioneer, Jonathan, I hope I did a good job in this interview.
It's always the hardest part of the night for me as an announcer, and thankfully usually it's actually my co-host William Morrison that gets tasked with it. But when we get a full field of race cars and I've got 2 or 3 laps of warm up to try and get through a field, you did a great job, Joe.
Thank
I
you.
hope these drivers put on a heck of a show for us and do a great job as well. And it sure looks like pacing around right now. I don't know what to make of this lineup, Joe, but good start there from the inside row. And the 21 of Edwards is off to the top spot. Here comes the challenge for Dominic Roselli on the inside. Dirk Hardeen had himself a pretty good run on the outside of the racetrack through 1 and 2. Looking to try to get it going again, as we've got Mikey Horton with an issue. He's already going down the pits there. I'm not sure what's going on with that race car, but tough break for him. And after 1 lap, Edwards is your leader. Roselli's going to take away second from Dirk Hardeen.
Looks like Mikey Horton missed the go. He missed the lineup, so he will go from the pit lane. He's out on the racetrack, though, so we'll have to wait for some yellows, see if he can get back up in there. Meantime, Dominic Roselli on the inside of Dean Reynolds. That's your battle for second place. Gary Edwards holding the lead for the moment. Robert Henschel in the 3-car making it 3 wide for second place there. Hunter Lapp with a great run off the top side there through turn 2, and he's going to put himself in the top 3 at least temporarily as they move up to the top of the racetrack. Looks like that might be the place they need to go. Dominic Roselli falling back into almost 5th place with Isaac Salas, who was fastest in practice, coming up behind the number 60 of Hunter Lapp.
I've been very impressed with what I've seen from Hunter Lapp already in terms of his passing ability. He has got it down where he can set guys up. It looks like right now that Dean Reynolds is running exactly where Lapp wants to be, and that's affecting his ability to maybe make a pass. Now you see Lapp dive to the inside, see if he can get the power down out of the corner. I don't think it's going to happen this time, as he'll slide back up into his spot, and it's nose to tail from about 1st to 5th. Dominic Roselli on the inside, backing up there.
Goes.
And contact! Salas is around.
He gets it back together. He pulled up in front of everybody. That was dangerous. They kept, nope, now I said it. I was about to say we stayed green and we called the yellow. We saw what happened. Actually, we might have had a secondary incident here with Brian Lawson that was the firm cause of the yellow. Isaac Salas, that was a little much to come back up the racetrack that quickly, I think, to be fair.
Yeah, he really got up. If he had stayed low, I know there was one more car kind of down there that maybe he somehow was trying to avoid by coming up the racetrack. But yeah, that was a tough break all around. But I guess are we going to have to try to find 2 replays here, Joe? I mean, we know what kind of happened to Isaac. Let's see if we can find what happened to Lawson as well.
I'm trying here, and where is Lawson in this? This is Jason Henry on the screen you see here. But there's Salas. So Salas spun, and I can't find him in timing and scoring. There he is. Okay, so let me go back one more time, and let's see if we can find him. There he is. All right. Nope. That was all Salas. It was just all Salas.
So for Salas.
Yeah, the reason why we're a little askew on this with Brian Lawson is because when that happened, for some reason, I don't know if it was related or not, but Lawson had like a lag spike. So he actually dipped out of the session for a second, which is why we thought he was involved in the incident, because he jumped, all of a sudden he was at the tail of the field, but that's why when I pulled the replay back too, you couldn't find him, was because he had a lag spike, and that was what caused that. But that's not going to trigger a yellow. The yellow would have been triggered by the 5-car coming up on the racetrack like that, and they have sent Isaac to the tail of the field here as a result. They have also given back the lap that Mikey Horton needed, and they might have accidentally given him 2 because he's scored as the leader right now. But nonetheless, we should have the 12-car back on the lead lap, and we should have the 5-car at the tail of the field for the restart.
Now, I'd love to see if, I don't know if we're going to have time to get that replay of what happened to Salas there. I know there was contact, I believe, with the 3-car that turned him around, but I don't know, we talked a little bit about how there is a bit of a bubble that exists between these race cars where you can be, I guess, making contact in the game's eyes without actually making contact, and that might have been the situation that the 5-car found himself in.
Yeah, I think we're coming back to green here, but Mikey Horton is scored as the leader. I wouldn't be surprised if they call a competition yellow to fix the fact that he is scored that way, because when I pull the ticker back up, you're going to see Mikey Horton as the leader, and that is not the case. It should... Oh, well, it doesn't matter. We're going to have a wreck to cause all this to come back together anyway. Dylan Smith goes haywire, and about...
They're all stacking up now.
Yeah, that's 2/3 of the field. They're getting into a parking lot on the front straightaway, and all backed down. I saw Anthony Perego in that. You can see the... Scored as the 007, the J7 of Brendan Finley. Jeff Sharp was involved. Jesse Hedges is crabbing through 1 and 2. So it started with Dylan Smith, and I know that that's where we're going to go from here on the replay, but calamity definitely came across lap number 7 and lap number 8, Jonathan.
You know, we talked about how it was awesome that we had so much. Oh, it actually even started ahead of Smith. It was Lap that got turned there, and I believe, was that the 3 again?
Well, let's check it out. So we're going to watch with the 15S, and yep, that's exactly right. Henschel into the 60 car. They come down the racetrack. Dylan Smith has nowhere to go with his momentum. And then back in front of DeRitter and Michael Vitale, Anthony Roselli. Mom's not going to like that. Anthony Perego goes up the track, and Kenny Coe hits him. Higby's jamming in there. I see the 07 car getting in there as well. And then this is where Perego goes around in front of a couple cars. Hedges gets slammed into this. Brian Lawson. Isaac Salas.
Solid.
Yep. Mike Brewer missing that just barely on the top. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, that was. This has been a chaotic opening, and I guess this is maybe we got to look in the mirror here a bit, Joe. We talked about how it was so great that they got 11 laps of green flag racing in, and everything was so clean. And well, chaos through 8 laps here. Yep. Chaos on the scoreboard, chaos on the racetrack, chaos in the cleanup area, and I'm sure more than a few drivers already burning through their resets.
Yeah, we've got the 33 car still. That car looks like it got fixed up. But yeah, they're burning through their resets, and we're working our grid back out so we can go back to green flag racing. They're just trying to make sure that everybody's in the right order for the restart. That does allow us to get the 12 car to the tail of the field again. Mikey Horton needs to give up those positions. There was a little bit of an iRacing scoring error to put him at the lead, so he will go to the tail, and Gary Edwards III will properly and rightfully take over the race lead again in timing and scoring. But yeah, we talked after the fact, and we talked again before we started this broadcast in the booth about last time when we were in Volusia. We got 11 laps into that feature before we saw a caution. And to be frank with ourselves and the people who've watched from the BRP days through Murder Graphics and here to the Southern Elite Tour, that's not something we saw very often. But we were impressed. It was like, hey, maybe this season we're going to see that kind of trend going. And we did get a couple laps into this one before we saw issues, but it's a game. There's a disconnect between driving in a video game and driving in real life where you don't get the kind of feel of your pants, the seat of your pants driving, so you got to get used to that. And you can only have so much to see in the video game. You've only got a screen in front of you, so that's what the guys are working against here. But we go back to green flag racing, and hopefully we can tick a couple off as we get back to it in single file order. Gary Edwards leads with Dean Reynolds fighting hard on the outside here, Jonathan.
Yeah, Dean is really trying to keep that car wound up, and he enters the corner so aggressively, and he can get a pretty good run right through the middle there. I think especially through 1 and 2, that high side, it gives you the ability to get a run. 3 and 4, for whatever reason, has seemed like it's a bit trickier to try and make runs work around the outside, and we'll see it down into 1 and 2 again. Dean just enters with a ton of speed, and right there, right through the middle, that's where you can see him really get some good momentum, but he kind of gives it up on exit as the car gets squirrely on him, and that's what allows Edwards to kind of boot scoot and boogie away.
Robert Henschel making a look for third place here as Hunter Lapp goes around the outside of him. The 60 car moves into position, but the 209 Storage Vault sponsored New York stamped asphalt car fighting on the inside of the 3, back to it again out of turn number 2. He's going to try to slide up the racetrack in front of him. The Van Sickle Electric number 80, Dominic Roselli in the mix here as well, trying to take advantage of these two. But they just are holding enough momentum that they're keeping him behind Jonathan. And Dominic Roselli is going to have to try to keep searching, I guess, and maybe gets an opportunity here.
Roselli with a run on the 3 car here. And Roselli to the inside. He's really committed to making that inside work. A half slider thrown there. No room to cut up in front. He knows better, and he'll tuck back in line, but he's not really giving up any pace when he does that. He is able to stay right on these two, and it looks like Roselli might be the third, if not second fastest race car in this field if he can just get some clean track position in front of him. We'll see. Edwards definitely appears to be the fastest, and contact there. Hang on to it as the battle for third continues to cook on and heat up here. And now Roselli's going to drop back a little bit, and he'll have to give some pace. And they're closing up behind him as look at Matt DeRitter coming through the field as well as the 24 up.
Yep, Matthew Schultz and Matt DeRitter side by side here. Two Matts trying to run through 3 and 4. Dominic Roselli making a little bit of a gap there again between them. Michael Vitale in the 213, the yellow car in the center of your screen, and Anthony Roselli in the white with the purple on it. As this crew, they closed in a little bit on Dominic Roselli, but now he's gotten a little bit out in front of them again. A little bit of a love tap between Schultz and Vitale, and Anthony Roselli trying to capitalize, maybe try to split the middle of the two of them. Nope, but he will get Vitale at the line. This is a great race going on here. You've got Roselli in 8th, so Schultz sits 7th, and then 10th place Tyler Bowman. Oh, look out, Matthew Schultz. Tony Hawk to the back straightaway, and they're all going to send in there. We stay green. Matthew Schultz comes out of that one relatively unscathed. That could have been a lot worse.
Definitely could have got ugly for Matt Schultz. I was just about to shout him out too, having a good comeback run. You mentioned both the Matts, Matt DeRitter as well. Matt DeRitter 14th last week at Volusia. Schultz was 18th. So Schultz, this would have been a big improvement. Still would be right now, but he definitely just cost himself more than a few places. Maybe not fully and totally his fault with getting jacked up there. And now look at Anthony Roselli trying to move forward. He's on his horse. He's trying to make it work. Throws the slider there and completes it on DeRitter as he just blows by. And now DeRitter coming back on the inside, and that 0-3 is going to try to throw a slider of his own. And yellow flag is out.
Yellow flag. I think it's Salas again. Yep. That's a shame. Really, I'm sorry, Isaac. I think we might have commentator cursed you for the racing tonight. We got to pull a replay back, see what happened, but it has not gone well for the 5 car in a while.
And it's tough to say, but I think this might be a solo one here, Joe. You can see him up on the outside there, really running high.
Yeah, turn 3 and 4 is where this is going to happen here.
And it looks like Salas was making his way back through the field pretty well. I mean, he's in a top 10 spot, I believe, here, rough math while I'm watching this, and just enters kind of high, maybe too high, and he's rim riding. And right there, we'll go around and a little more help as Smith's going to try to avoid that as well. Oh, I think Dylan Smith might have got through that cleanly. Maybe another coat of paint, he might have been real history there. But, yeah, we talked about how fast that 5 car was. I said he might be the driver to watch. And to be fair, Joe, he has been the driver to watch, but it's kind of for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah, that's definitely – I was expecting you to tee that up that way. For the wrong reasons, you've got Isaac Salas now on the pit lane. Beau Curbeau was the 5 car behind him that got kind of sucked into things there, as you see Mike Brewer sitting shotgun on the field. But that was a little bit squirrely for Jeff Sharp as well, who really hasn't had a ton of performance in that car relative to the feature. He did get through from the consolation, which was a good start for him, but yeah, it's a tough break for Isaac Salas, and he was the fastest car in practice. He was the fastest car in the warm-up, won his heat race, but just isn't putting it together in the feature as we tick past halfway in this one, coming back to the green. That's something to turn around. Maybe, Dylan Smith talked about being the most improved driver, but if Isaac Salas can really hone in on these feature races by the end of the season, I could definitely see him winning races, and I can definitely see him deserving that most improved driver award.
Yeah, certainly could be the case here. Tight field, double file restart once again as we have reached the halfway point of this feature. After a bit of a chaotic start to it, we clicked off several laps there and got it moving. And now what does the field have for Edwards? He turns him loose and he'll leave Dirk Cardine in the dust. And here comes the 3 car on the inside once again, trying to make the move for second. Lap with a good run down into 1 and 2. Everybody chasing that 21 car of Edwards. Oh, slap job up in front. Hang on to it. Might need a fresh pair of underwear for Dirk Cardine there as the 3 car was right in his lap for a second.
Yeah, Dean got a good run off of the top side through 1 and 2, but Robert Henschel went through the bottom and got in front of him, and then, Dean just sent it in with a freight train's worth of momentum. Unfortunately for him, the 3 car came up, and Robert was able to capitalize on that little love tap from the 79, get himself into second place. Robert Henschel is really showing things up. That Advanced Concrete number 3 car, his first time out with the series, I only knew he was entering this race as of today that he was going to be here, but yeah, Gary Edwards leads the way and he has led the way the whole time. This is probably the first time, I'd say, Jonathan, that we've got a real battle coming to him.
Yeah, absolutely. This is Edwards under pressure for the first time, and it's amazing how rough this racetrack is, Joe. You can see the cars bouncing through the corners, down in the front stretch, down the back stretch, sparks flying off as, Henschel puts it in the wall a little bit, and that is going to give Edwards the breathing room he would like. And now, Reynolds puts it up against the fence, and he's got lap pressing down on him. And Anthony Roselli has cracked the top 5. He's on a march forward in that 7 ride ahead of his brother.
So we got the brothers together. Mom, look away. This could go bad. Anthony Roselli gets in front of him, and now he's going to try to take on Hunter Lapp. Both of the Van Sickle electric cars are just slowly ticking away at things. We got 15 laps to go. Gary Edwards up at the front still. Anthony Roselli cracks into the top 5, and it looks like the top side's the dominant line right now. As bumpy as it may be, nobody's really venturing down to the bottom. They're kind of going to the middle and then diamonding to the bottom off of the turns right now. But it looks like everybody's trying to run the same line, so we're not really seeing any opportunities for passing, at least in the corners for the moment.
I'll tell you what, Joe, I don't want to put you on the spot necessarily, but I would love to see an onboard right now, especially going through the corners. Although I feel like it might give us a little bit of a risk for some motion sickness with how bouncy this is. On board with Dominic Roselli. Let's have a look here and just see, Joe, what these drivers are going through. You can see the bumps. Not so rough down the front stretch, but here in the corners, it is so rough in these big block modifieds right now.
Yeah, well, you saw Dominic Roselli right there. He actually, when he went into turn 1, he touched
there it is!
There it was! There it was!
Oh
my goodness. Yeah, but anyway, like I was saying, I mean, you come into these corners and we got a yellow. I got to stop now. They saw this happen, and they were like, we gotta stop because the guys are getting too excited here. I think Brendan Finley is involved in this, but yeah, those bumps were throwing everybody off. We will come back to that and do that again, Jonathan. I had fun, but we got to check back on what happened to bring out this yellow first. Oh, and we're gonna like this, Jonathan. I'll hand this over to you.
I think this is going to be multiple cars. It starts with Smith and Finley. Smith goes in. Finley, I think, made some contact in the back and then tries to throw the slider.
Oh.
And, it's Higbee in front.
Higbee goes around.
Higbee gets turned.
Mm-hmm. And Smith gets in.
Smith gets a piece of it. The 24. Oh, yeah, this is another big one.
Perego, Kenny Coe's in there. Mike Brewer goes through on the inside. 171 gets a little bit of it. Henry there. Yeah. Matthew Schultz has not really had that good of a day with the Reese's sponsored number 24 car. It's been a rough go at the Speed Palace for him.
Yeah, rough day. And I'm looking at the points right now, Joe, and that we are going to see a shakeup at the top of the standings, minus Gary Edwards. I mean, we have seen Perego with trouble, Finley now with trouble, Cody Higbee involved in incidents, Isaac Salas involved in incidents. Dylan Smith was 7th in points coming into the evening. So we're going to see more than a few guys who are up near the top of the standings after week 1 find themselves in some trouble. And we're going to see basically a full-on shuffle amongst the top 10 in points, at least how it's shaken out with 11 to go.
Yeah, outside of Gary Edwards, who is definitely, he's holding things down with the lead. But, I've been noticing as well, like we're seeing different names up at the front than we saw last time, and that's good for the series. Maybe not so good for those individuals, but good for us to watch, although Gary Edwards has been very consistent and solid through both of the nights of racing, at least what we've seen of him so far. But Mr. Henschel on the outside definitely showing up. And something about these Pennsylvania tracks, Dean Reynolds won at Williams Grove a few years ago with the VRP iRacing Series. He's good here. I don't know. Do you have any hints or clues, Jonathan, of what could be the factor for Dean Reynolds?
It's tough to say. I think just the way he's driving, from just observing, I feel like it's got to be that he is good at keeping the car wound up. He gets the momentum, and that appears to be what is giving him his edge. Now, he is starting on the inside line, lap to his outside. We'll see if that affects Dean's ability to get up against the fence where he's been so fast. And Edwards leaving him in the dust. Henschel dropping back. Could be 3 wide for second as they work into 1.
Oh, Hunter Lapp gets up in front of the 3 car. And Hunter Lapp takes over second place there as Dean Reynolds goes to the inside. The Roselli brothers and Matt DeRitter side by side as they come into turn number 3. Henschel on the top, Dean Reynolds in the middle. All the way down on the bottom there, you see Matt DeRitter as Gary Edwards ticks off another one. We're inside, now coming to 10 laps to go. And Hunter Lapp has taken over second place, but that 21 car is still very confidently holding on. He's taken over the position that Perego had last week as a big slide from the 3 car, and Henschel goes to second only temporarily. Hunter Lapp's going to come back to the inside here.
I'm not sure if Edwards was just backing up that corner to be safe or if he tagged the wall, but Edwards really jammed up in the middle of the corner through 3 and 4 that last time, and that allowed Lapp and Henschel to close right in on him. Let's see what happens this time through 3 and 4. I don't know if it's just Edwards' line. That time looks like a little bit cleaner. That time he's able to keep the momentum up, and he'll still drive away. But we got ourselves a heck of a battle between Lapp and Henschel for that second spot. Lapp throws it up the racetrack. He'll maybe touch the back of the tire against the wall there. Henschel's going to throw another slider here. Oh, too far up for Lapp. That's going to cost him.
Oh, yeah, that got him all scrolled up, and that put Henschel back into second place there as he come past the line again, coming inside 7 laps to go. That number 70 car, he's doing a good job. He's just got to put it together a little bit more solid when he's in the corners because he got up off of the wall too much, just backing it in so hard that he then hit, and then it would suck him back in. And Dominic Roselli's lurking in 4th place there, sort of at the back of the screen. But that's going to allow Mr. Henschel, Robert, to get in tow of Gary Edwards. And Gary Edwards under threat again, but he's been able to tame all of what's come his way so far, coming to 5 laps to go, Jonathan.
Robert is really having a great drive. This is far from over. Edwards needs to keep it clean with now 5 laps to go. We'll see how this plays out.
He just got it all squirreled up right
close
there. I think you jinxed him, Jonathan.
I don't know, man. I know there's a lot of speed at the top of the racetrack, but with how rough this place is right now, I would certainly be trying to give myself a little bit of breathing room. And there it is. Edwards takes a little breath, and that actually costs him too. Even driving conservatively, Joe, that opened the door for Henschel to close that much more. There is nothing Edwards can do other than he'll have to go balls to the wall to get to the finish of this one, as the 3 car is keeping the 21 honest.
We got to keep our eye on this. Dean Reynolds falling back a little bit in the field after such a good run through things. He's back to 8th place now. Dominic Roselli still trying to hunt down Hunter Lapp, but this is the battle for the lead. 2 laps to go with the stripe, so we got 2.5 to hit it. And the 21 of Gary Edwards, you see him in the black and white with the green numbers, leads Robert Henschel in the black, white, and orange number 3 car in second place into the corners again. The name of the game right now for everybody is just bash the boards and try not to get sucked in on that rear tire. That time it worked for the both of them, but Gary Edwards has to be really careful here because there it was. That was what we were waiting to see. That's what you've got to avoid. 1 lap to go at the stripe, presented by Precision Engine Services.
And you know what? If you're Henschel, you can't follow that closely into the corner. And there it is. There's the mistake. Now Edwards, he's going to get past. Henschel will clear. What does Edwards do? Final time into 3 and 4. The 3 car all the way to the bottom, up against the wall. Edwards making the run to the line. It's side by side, and Henschel will steal it on the last lap.
Man, you lead the whole race, and that one, you can point out the moment where Gary Edwards lost that race. But Robert Henschel, man, you put together a run like that, and you deserve to take advantage of something like that. A hell of a start, a hell of an entrance. Welcome, Robert Henschel.
Wow, that was incredible racing. I mean, the surface alone threw so much at us, Joe, but for it to come down to a battle, right down to the checkered flag between those guys, my heart breaks for Gary Edwards, but I mean, it's also 2 second places to start the season. Nothing to be too upset about, but man, when you dominate a race the way Gary did, that's gotta sting a little bit. And if you're Henschel, what a way to make your presence known. You miss out on week 1, but that win's going to project him right up the standings and give him a solid opportunity to make some noise all season long the rest of the way.
Absolutely it is. And that was just a good run through. I'm really stunned. We just had overcast the whole time, and that definitely played in big time to how the racing went, but the track did end up slicking off and being bouncy. I know I saw comments in the YouTube stream of people mentioning that it was so bumpy that watching at home in the seats they were sitting in watching the broadcast, they were bouncing up and down. So to get through that race, wow. We're waiting on our winner to jump from to get into the waiting room for us to do interviews with. But Jonathan, I think we can bring in our third place driver if you want to take him, or you want me to go for it here.
I'll let you go for it. I got the winner in third last time, so I'll take second. You go for the top two, or the top spot and the third spot.
That sounds awesome. I will take that, and I will bring in Mr. Hunter Lapp. Hunter, this is Joe Donahue with BRP TV. You got a copy? Hunter will give you another go here. There he is.
I gotcha. Yep.
Hey, there he is. Awesome. All right, Mr. Lapp, third place at the end of it. You put it together at the end. And I'm sure you're just happy to get to the end of this race for how bumpy it was and how hectic it got at the end.
Oh yeah, that was brutal out there. I mean, it is what it is. It was pretty bouncy. I mean, I feel bad for what I did on that last restart there to Cole. I mean, I had to do what I had to do, but it was good. I had a good time. It was fun racing with these guys.
Talk to me about your procession through this race, because you weren't in the top three to start things off, and the track changed so much. So did it come into what you wanted, or were you working to learn the racetrack as you went to get to the point where you could get into the top three?
I was just kind of riding it out in the beginning, seeing what the track was going to do, and then I saw it was just going to be right around the rim the whole way. So I just kind of settled in up there and got what I could get.
Yeah, absolutely. You got what you could get. You got a little more maybe than what everybody else could get out of this, because it was a hectic race there. And just talk to me about this racetrack compared to maybe what you're used to or expecting out of the rest of the season, because Port Royal is a little bit different because of that high banking and that wall right there up on the top side. Is this a momentum gaining race for you, or is this something that you've got to kind of reset when you go into the next race of, yeah, I did well, but the racetrack's so different coming forward?
Yeah, I figured it was going to be really tough to pass with how the track was getting there, and going into the rest of the races, I know that there's going to be a lot more grooves in the other tracks, so we'll be able to have some better racing, hopefully.
Well, I'm anticipating such, but hey, good racing to get yourself into third place here, Hunter. Who do you have to thank and shout out on the broadcast for what you put together at Port Royal tonight?
I don't know. I thank Matt DeRitter for making my my wrap 5 years ago. That's about it. And then I got to thank my family and everybody, all my friends. That's it. Had fun.
Well, it's good to have you out here, Hunter. Glad you had fun, and we're looking forward to seeing what you can do next time.
Thank you.
Good stuff from Hunter Lapp there. Jonathan, I'm going to go ahead and bring in second place. I got to talk to him last week. This week, it's all you with Gary Edwards III.
Gary Edwards, is Jonathan Howe up in the booth. You got a copy?
I got you.
It's I got to be a bit of a tough feeling. Back-to-back second place finishes, especially with how this one went, but still a great effort from the 21 car. What did it feel like from your vantage point?
Yeah, I mean, after leading 39 laps, you kind of want to lead them all and get the win, but I was just, I guess, playing too much defense really towards the end because Cole was fast, and yeah, it sucked me in, and I got some front end damage, and then he got under me, but 2 seconds in a row in the first two races, I can't complain.
Yeah, it's a great start. It's going to be great in the point standings, but obviously would have loved to get that win. It was just one of those things where with this racetrack, how rough it was. If you weren't up on the high side, on the ragged edge, it just was just that fraction too slow and allowed everybody else to kind of close in on you.
Yeah, I mean, especially in 1 and 2, I was kind of running a slider line up to the top, and that seemed to work. But Henschel, he was fast on the top, and he had that much momentum that I didn't have running a slider. But yeah, every time I tried entering up there, I would just get tight in the wall, and I figured I'd keep it in one piece. So that's what I did.
Again, 2 second places. It's been a great start to the year. You got to have a lot of confidence, even without that win heading into Lucas Oil. Where's your head at, and how you feeling about the rest of the schedule?
Yeah, I mean, especially running up front in points. I mean, even if I get second again next week, I won't complain. Try and stay consistent and be there at the end. But definitely, I want to win here soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Great job here tonight. Great job executing throughout the night as well. That's what it takes to have great heats, have a great feature, and another great result, even if you're just one lap short of where you really wanted to be. Thanks again for taking the time, and thanks again for joining us. Who you got to thank for the second place effort, Gary?
Yeah, thanks. I got to thank Roselli putting this race on, and HigFab Chassis and Precision Engine for also helping Roselli with this. But yeah, all in all, good. Thanks, everyone, and see you next week.
There he is, second place finisher for the second time this season. Gary Edwards, the third. And you know what, Joe? That is going to be a great points result at the end of the day, but you can hear it, a little bit of frustration to not be able to close it out.
Yeah, just I definitely do not envy that feeling, and it's absolutely warranted. But still, you've got to give all the credit in the world to the ability to do that, to lead that far in, make it that far before having any sort of mistake, and then just that one little error in that one spot in time where that one driver who could make a run at him. But we've actually got Cole Henschel. Cole, you got a copy, brother. We got you in the broadcast booth.
Yep. Yeah, I'm here.
Well, we got Cole, not Robert. You were scored as Robert during the race, so we're going to have to go back and change that in the series, the names that pop up here. But you had absolutely stellar coming out of the gates, joining this series. I didn't even know you were going to be here until earlier today, and you just came out of the gates swinging. Tell me about Port Royal and your take on this racetrack. It seems like you know the place pretty well.
Yeah, it's a fun track. I was lucky Anthony and Dom let me join in a week late. Yeah, it's a fun track. When it gets slick like that, it's very technical, but you just got to be comfortable with beating it into the wall, which luckily it worked out for me and was able to go forward.
Tell me about what you just said, beating it into the wall, because that was the name of the game definitely through the last 10 laps of this race. It was sort of a chess match of how hard can you drive in and bounce off that wall without getting sucked in, like have the rear tire suck you into the wall and you get all that understeer. Just talk to me about that, doing that.
Yeah, it's weird. 1 and 2 is different than 3 and 4. 3 and 4, you can go in and hit it with your rear bumper and it won't suck you in as much. 1 and 2, if you hit it with your rear bumper, you will get sucked in good. So, both corners, both sides are different, which makes it fun, but it also makes it really hard. And you just got to be comfortable with going in and grabbing it and staying on the throttle, because once you get off, it'll suck you in even more.
Yeah, well, you got to tell me about that getting sucked in and whatnot, because that's what happened to Gary Edwards to get you up there and then give you the opportunity to take the race lead over. I mean, tell me about, you must have been licking your chops when you saw that 21 car get brought into the wall in 1 and 2.
Yeah, I knew that was my only chance. I kind of slid them bad one time when it happened, and I was able to cross them and get the drive off. It's so tough crossing the slick there just because there's so much track. And getting the run off the top, even when you bounce in, is usually fine. But I was just lucky he kind of got sucked in too much, and I was able to cross over it.
You were able to cross him over, and you led one lap all night, and it was the one that counted. Who do you have to shout out and thank, Cole, for putting together a run where you were able to start strong, come back, and especially at the very end of it, come in and take the checkered flag first?
Yeah, I just got to thank Anthony and Dom and everybody who put it on. And my buddies Matt and JB were always playing, racing, having fun, and yeah, it's always just a good time being able to jump on and be with guys you race with.
Absolutely. Definitely a good way to keep your energy up and keep the sharp edge of the knife sharp when it comes to the racing skill in this off season. Thank you for joining us tonight. We'll look to see if you can bring it back at Lucas Oil and maybe double up next time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Have a good night.
Yep. Thank you. And that is the rundown of your top 3 at the end of the show. Interestingly enough, yeah, it's Cody Henschel, not Robert Henschel. We'll have to fix the in-game iRacing information for next time so we can give him proper regards for winning the race, Jonathan.
Yeah, it's always like they were like saying Cody. I heard the other guy say it. I was like, wait, Cody? Who's Cody? I'm like, what are they talking about? But anyways, it all worked out as the unofficial results pop up on the screen. Cody Henschel your winner, Gary Edwards the third, second once again. Hunter Lapp rounds out your podium, and then there's the brothers, Dominic Roselli with the 4th place finish, Anthony Roselli 5th. Matt DeRitter, our boy, with a solid top 10 effort, finishing 6th. And how about Kenny Coe making his debut with us this season? He'll bring it home 7th. Bo Curbo. Dean Reynolds dropped back a little bit in that one, and Anthony Perego, last week's winner, still able to salvage a top 10 after what was a quiet night for him.
Going to 11th on the grid there, Bud Molyneux in his first race on track with the Southern Tier Elite Series. Tyler Bowman will end up in 12th. Great-looking race car, had some moments of shining. Just got to get things wrapped up, and we could see that car still going to the front further. Mike Brewer ends up 13th, 14th for Michael Vitale, and then Dylan Smith is going to round out the top 15 in the 15 car. Jason Henry goes 16th, 17th for Matthew Schultz. 18th place is Jeff Sharp at the end. Not the greatest night for him. Mikey Horton had a tough thing to start it from the pit lane. He ended up getting a few spots back, and then Brendan Finley did not have that great of a night tonight. He rounds out the top 20. Then you've got Jesse Hedges, who saw some trouble throughout the night. Brian Lawson ends up 6 laps down. Cody Higbee 11 laps down, and Isaac Salas 22 laps down. Those three did not finish in the race tonight from Port Royal. So that's the clash from the Speed Palace. Jonathan, your final thoughts here on stream to sum up the very bumpy Port Royal Speedway we got tonight.
Yeah, that was I think the surface itself was the story as much as the racing was as well. I think it's going to be interesting to see going forward whether we get some more diversity. It's just kind of like we saw tonight. It wasn't the same group of guys towards the front. Obviously, you had Edwards up there, but we saw problems for guys like Finley. Guys like Cody Higbee had rough nights. And Isaac Salas, will they be able to bounce back next week? Or will we see this kind of fresh face, these new drivers like Cody, Henschel, stay up towards the front, keep the winning ways going, and all of a sudden the Rosellis starting to round into form as well. Anthony had himself a pretty decent week in week 1. Dominic a little bit further back. Both of them should take a nice little jump in the point standings with their efforts up towards, I would say, the top 5 in points after this evening. I think we're going to get something pretty different from next week's event at Lucas Oil, but Port Royal did not disappoint.
No, it definitely did not. And like Jonathan said, next time out is Lucas Oil Speedway. That's 1 week's time from now. So you're going to want to make sure you hit the bell icon and hit subscribe to BRP TV so that you're ready to go when we go live from that race next time. But we want to thank Cacti Fabrication as the presenting sponsor of this series for the Cacti Cup Championship, Precision Engine Service, HigFab Chassis, Vertex Graphics, BRP TV aside of us, MDR Designs, Murder Graphics, Creative Turnings, 47 Technology, the Southern Ontario Dirt Show, Savage House Performance, and InkFab for the show tonight. This is BRP TV. This is Joe Donahue alongside Jonathan Howe bringing you the show this time and next time. And next time is 1 week's time from this time. Thank you, everybody. We will see you again in 1 week's time from the virtual Lucas Oil Speedway in Missouri. We bid you adieu.